Hello and welcome to Using Visual Interventions for Promoting Positive Behaviour in Early Years and Foundation Stage. My name is Andrew Whitehouse and you can contact me at Andrew Whitehouse at Facebook, at Andrew Whitehouse at People First Education on Facebook. Get me on Twitter, Andrew WSEN, Instagram, Andrew WSEN, LinkedIn, Andrew Whitehouse, and there's a few Andrew Whitehouses there. I'm the one with a few letters after my name. Andrew at peoplefirsteducation.com if you're emailing, and there's an online booking form at peoplefirsteducation.com, the website. So please feel free to get in touch with me. I'll always be pleased to hear from you. You'll be pleased to know that you're in good hands. I'm an SEN short course provider at Bishop Grosseteste University and at the University of Lincoln. I'm a TEDx speaker from Disability to Superpowers, and I'm a Bamford lecturer for the British Academy of Audiology. But most importantly for you, my major roles are keynote speeches at conferences, training in schools, colleges, etc., and early years settings, of course, and observation, boots on the ground stuff. So I've got all the experience you want me to have, and I'm here right in front of you today to deliver you this training. So it's all good news. So what do? Well, I do this, I do the training, I do conferences, and that's interesting because I try not to, unlike a lot of people, and I have nothing against this, but my personal preference, I try not to deliver the same conference paper more than once. So I do a lot of research. I do insets and twilights and workshops in schools, but mostly the thing I do most is observations, interventions and consultations in classrooms. And so that's the thing that I'm here to do for you, is to, sorry, I'm being inarticulate, is to relay back to you what I've seen, what I've learned and what I know works. So sit back, leave the driving to me, and let's see what we do. But remember, the following is based on my work in a range of educational settings. It's all boots on the ground stuff. Okay. Now, using visual interventions for promoting positive behaviour in the early years and foundation stage. What are we talking about? We're talking about a process. In the early years and foundation stage, children are at a level where they are progressing faster than any other time in their life. And so it's a massive, massive process. We also know that we're preparing them for each stage. We're preparing them to move on bit by bit by bit by bit. And it's a building blocks. Once we've got one piece in place, we can build up, build up, build up. Now, much of this work comes from the work I've done with autism. I'm a firm believer that the work that I do in autism, that anyone does in autism, is beneficial to everybody. So good autism practice, good teaching practice. But I've also drawn in lots and lots of other things as well. So let's have a look at it, shall we? Here's a thing about behaviour. The kids that need the most love will ask for it in the most unloving ways. That's an interesting one, isn't it? You know it. You know this to be true. You know that when someone's in a bad mood with you, or someone's shouting, or someone comes into an environment throwing stuff about and being a bit sweary, you know it's probably because something's happened prior to that time with you, or there's something about you that they're worried about, they're frightened, they think's going to happen, and so they're reacting before the act happens. But whatever it is, they are telling you, I'm insecure, I need love, I need looking after, I'm not feeling good. All right. And there's another way of putting it, which is and how is it? Oh gosh. All behaviours communication. All behaviours communication. So when you get challenging behaviour, they're trying to tell you something. It's up to you to decipher it. So how do we do that? Behaviour management is not about dealing with issues as they arise. I wrote this on a train, you know, came to me like a flash of O'Blurdy. Behaviour management is about avoiding issues in the first place. Of course it is. Absolutely, of course it is. So, you know, you don't want to be dealing with every issue. You'll just have issue after issue after issue. If you've got 20 children in your reception class, you've got potentially 20 people having issues all the day. So you don't want that. It's about avoiding them. It's about finding what's going wrong. I go into an environment and I look around for things. I'm like that. I'm like on a mission, you know. And so one that I've been in recently, just several things that were could cause issues. Very noisy heating. Heating was like this. You got children trying to learn, trying to listen, trying to read, trying to concentrate. You got the heating going. Teacher was in circle time, was sitting on a chair in an angle that was difficult for the children to see. Resources were out of the way. Visual timetable was difficult to read, and you know what I'm like about visual timetables. And there's all these things, and if you avoid all those things, if you change the way you do stuff, that is going to avoid behaviour management. So if you deal with the issues as they arise, you won't reduce the number of incidents. But if you understand the impairments and triggers, you will significantly reduce challenging behaviour. I know it. So what about visuals? Why are they so important? Where do they fit in? And how do we put them in place? So let's start with why so important. Well, I would suggest that most classrooms, most of the teaching is done in an auditory, verbal way. We do have a certain amount of multimodal learning, but I would say most of it, if I was to pick a figure, I'd say as high as 70, even 80% of the learning and teaching is talking and listening. And so we've got a whole load of other learning modes that aren't being considered there. So straight away, they're important because they're often not there. So that's the first thing. Where do they fit in? They fit in like this. I want to refer you to module 1 of autism, and where I talk about extreme male brain theory. Now, I don't want to go through it all here and now. I'll just give you the bare bones of it. But extreme male brain theory is from Simon Baron-Cohen, University of Cambridge, and what Simon says is that there are two types of brain, male, female brain. I don't think they're the only two, but these are the two he talks about. That doesn't mean male and female people have got those brains, although male brain is more common in males, and that the male brain is explicit, it's visual, and it's single attention. So you have to tell it exactly what you want and be really clear in your communication, definitely not what you don't want, and that it doesn't process auditory verbal as well as it processes the visual, and it can only process one thing at a time, single attention. And in autism, of course, we say that is extreme male brain, and you could call it multitasking or the inability to multitask. So straight away, that visual processing fits straight in there. How do we put them in place? Everywhere and anywhere you want, but it wants to be good, and it wants to be understandable, and it wants to be useful. So there's all sorts of things you can do with visuals in a learning environment before you even start. You want your visual timetables. Yes, that's me. For the 100th time in the last 2 weeks while we've been recording these, I've mentioned visual timetables. If you've not got this by now, this is the time to get it. Visual timetables, labeling things, prompts, all that sort of stuff. We want as much as we can, but only in areas where it's going to work. So what do we know about it? We know that reaction times are much faster with visual than auditory verbal. So this is a measurement of reaction times, and I'm not going to look at the maths here, but I'm going to tell you, you only have to look at it. The blue is visual, the yellow is auditory. And so reaction times are far faster. This is for male and female brain, by the way. So lots again to be thinking about there, that your visual is going to be more efficient for these learners. I've shown you this before, but we need to show you it again. Most people are visual learners. Visuals are processed 60,000 times faster than text. And if you've heard me talk about this before, then you'll know that my next question is, I wish I knew how they measured this. I don't know how they measure it, but I do know it to be fact. Okay, visuals 60,000 times faster than text. Okay, and there's one that I've learned recently, I've shared on one of the other workshops, but it's worth telling you that children's language acquisition and writing skills are seriously accelerated if when they're watching TV that they put the subtitles up. Visuals. Okay. So job one, we have to look at these visuals and say, right, we need to enhance these skills. We need to enhance these skills in a way that children are in a position where they can actually use these skills. So how are we going to do this? I will tell you. Few things you need to think about, right? So supporting the development of visual perception in the early years, we need to look at the environment. Uncluttered and clear. Decluttering is one of the most helpful things you can do for your learners. They can't learn in mess. So you want to unclutter, you want to declutter, get rid of all the stuff you're not using. Classrooms, particularly early years classrooms, can often be full of stuff they don't want. Get rid of it. Minimise distraction and background visual information. So distraction would be, think about where people sit. Try not to have too many open spaces like windows, doorways, things like that. If you have got distractions, you really want blinds. We want to think about the lighting. The lighting is often too much in the classroom, so you might want to things like, if you've got a projector screen switched on or an interactive whiteboard, turn the lights off. You don't need both. Yeah, shutting the blinds on very bright days, really good. Low sensory, not overstimulating, and hopefully not understimulating either. Just bringing it down to a nice calm environment. So keep posters and visual prompts simple and clear. We want to know what they're all about. So you can look at a visual prompt. Here's a good one for you. A text in a learning environment in a reception class that I was in recently, and it said no more than 3 children in this tent, but they can't read. So your visual prompts need to be simple and they need to be clear. I'm just organising myself here. I do this a lot, but it's getting my timer right so that I know we don't run out of time. So posters and visual prompts, simple and clear and understandable. And again, if we're using instruction, so some instruction like how to wash the dishes, you might have, instead of pictures you've printed out of the internet, you might have pictures of the actual children in your class. Okay. Why can't you focus? I can see, I know why. Why can't you focus? Interesting that this person is not saying why aren't you focusing, it's why can't you focus. And the reason you can't focus is because there's too much going on. So why can't you focus? And something's very interesting there. So this is a grown adult in this picture. I know it's a cartoon, but this is a grown adult in this picture, and she is she has lots of stuff above her head, loads of things up here. If let's assume that your children are at the height, standing up at the height of her hips, yeah, or maybe just a little bit above, then how are they going to access all this stuff? Who's it for? Who is it for? You know, it's certainly not for the children. Today is a great day to learn something new. Do they know what that says? Do they know what a great day to learn something new is or looks like? Possibly not. So we need to make these things clear, understandable. We're bringing down that sensory environment and putting it in a context that they can understand. Okay. So is your environment overstimulating? Ask yourself that question. Is it understimulating? Have a look around. Have a learning walk in your own environment. Get someone else in to manage your class just for 10, 15 minutes and have a look and see what you can see. And I bet you'll find loads of things that are overstimulating these children, and I'll bet you'll find other things that are understimulating. By the way, behaviour management is heavily affected by overstimulation, and it's equally as affected by understimulation. You've got to get it just right. If you ask me the question what just right is, I don't know, because it changes from cohort to cohort, from year to year. But you've got to look and make that judgment. And the phrase I love is, shut up, I'm trying to think. Shut up, I'm trying to think. It's a lovely phrase that is. How many times do you say that when it's all getting too much for you and you say, shut up, I'm trying to think? Yeah. Is your environment like that? It might well be. Are you overstimulating? You know, are you too loud? Are you too over the top with children? I'm being unkind to Mr. Tumble here, because Mr. Tumble actually, I think, is very, very sensory aware. But it's some of the clothes he wears. Do you dress like this? Have you got a Mickey Mouse tie on? Yeah. Are you wearing a sparkly jumper and things like that? All the stuff we assume that children really love. Well, maybe they do, but it's overstimulating. It's too much for their environment, and again, it can lead to adverse and challenging behaviour. So what we've got to do before we effectively use visuals for behaviour, we need to develop the visual skills. We need to discuss visuals, and we need to enhance visual skills. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're on to job 2 now. Keep it simple. Keep it really, really simple. There's a dyslexia for early years workshop that I've recorded it this morning actually. And one of the things we're trying to do is get children to relate images to texts. So if they see a word, they see a picture, they go, that word must be that picture. So if we've got a pig, we've got the word pig. We're trying to connect that. And one of the things we say, we keep it really simple at the beginning. Have a big picture of a pig, small text, pig. But as they get better and better and better, as we build those building blocks of reading, we get small pig, big word. And that's what we do. We might even be using bigger words and longer words. So keep it simple. Teach the child to discriminate visuals. I'm going to do this with you in a little bit. We're going to look at some apples, and I'm going to see if you can discriminate these visuals, because actually you'll find it's really quite difficult. Have you taught your children this? Because I'm betting most of you haven't even taught yourself this. Teach the child to distinguish or recognise distinguishing features. Again, have you done that? Have you ever done that? Have you done it to yourself? We can do this. More likely you have done that. And teaching the child to talk about visuals, I would hope you've done that as well. But to describe them to someone else helps you to understand them yourself. So, here we are with the apples. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pause for a little bit. If you're with other people, have a conversation. If you're on your own, just think it through yourself. There are 3 apples on the screen. I want you to talk about what they have in common. Okay. Let's pause now. I'll leave you to it. We'll talk in a little bit. Okay, welcome back. So, the apples. Let's talk about them. What do they have in common? I bet you've really struggled with that. I mean, some people try and they go, well, they've all got stalks. Well, they haven't, have they? One of them's got a stalk. The other 2 are leaves. And the one that has got a stalk doesn't have a leaf. They're all a certain shape. Well, they're not a certain shape. They're different colours. They're different materials. One is kind of virtual. One is made of flesh and skin. One is made of plastic. One's got a big stripe down it. One's got a swirly pattern. One's got a spotty pattern. And actually the way we've done that is what psychologists call schemas, that we build pieces of information onto pieces of information over and over and over again, and we just know. We know those are apples. You look at that, you'll have probably seen the apple symbol from the computers. You'll have certainly seen an apple, but you probably haven't seen that lunchbox before. That wasn't a problem, because you just went, apple. It looks like an apple, but it doesn't. And you have to teach this, and you have to really explicitly explain this to children. What is an apple? I want them looking for shapes. When you take children out and about, I want them looking for shapes in different environments. So we've got all sorts of things going on there. Got our lovely church with all its triangles, lots and lots of triangles and squares and a cross and all that. Absolutely fantastic for discussing shape. And then we've got the clock. It's got circles and angles and lines. It's absolutely beautiful that we can be talking about that. Simple stuff, but you see it everywhere. But you know you need to refer to it. You need to refer to what you're seeing, not just accepting the fact that it's there, but referring to it. Similarly with the window we're talking about shape in there as well. What else could we be doing there? Have you got it? Of course. Colour. You'd be looking for colour, and we've got reds and greens and blues and black and white and you know, just a few really basic colours, but getting children to talk to them. I mean, I particularly chosen these because they don't have any really complicated colours. But you could, once you've done this, you can up the game a little bit and put some, you know, slightly more complicated ones. And that's learning about colour. And then you could maybe go on from that to colour mixing and how do you create those colours. And so, really simple stuff, but actually really effective stuff. Did you ever wonder why these are like this? Did you ever wonder why? Let's stop, see if you can work it out. Did you get it? I didn't know, but you know, I thought it was for matching socks. But then if we had them all with green heels and toes, we wouldn't have to match the socks. It wouldn't be a problem. So they're just making an extra job, I felt. But no, it's so you know where to put your heel, know where to put your toe. This is a visual intervention to make sure you get your socks on straight so that you haven't got creases in your socks, so your feet don't get sore in your shoes. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Visual interventions are absolutely everywhere, and we need to be using them as much as we possibly can. So here's a parent and here is a child. She's been doing a bit of dressing up by the looks of things, and she is taking on instructions. So the parent is telling the child some instructions. I'm assuming it's the parent. So here are the instructions. Go upstairs, brush your teeth, comb your hair, use the toilet, clean the pants, clean socks, etc. And the result is nothing. Yeah, they can't focus, they can't process that information. But yet we do this to children all the time. Okay, everybody, it's lunchtime, so put on your pinnies, line up at the door, wait for me to blow the whistle. We're going to walk down the corridor and we're going to queue for our dinner. Gone. Absolutely gone. And you know what? As a parent, when my children were little, I found it easier to say, go upstairs and brush your teeth. They would do that. They'd come back again. And I'd say, now, go and comb your hair. And they were happier with that. They found that much easier to work with. But if you give them loads and loads of instructions, and particularly those that are not auditory processors, or not natural auditory processors, you're going to just get into a mess. Nothing. Great word. So job 3, we need to continue now. We need to enhance those visual skills. How are we going to enhance the visual skills? Nice and easy, does it? Have a look at this. So I have a family member that takes in, an elderly family member who takes in washing. She takes in the washing from our house. There are 4 children, 2 adults, and she takes in the washing. And she says it keeps her busy, keeps her young. But it's a poison chalice, I can tell you, because actually we get hate mail in the washing bags when they come back. And here's a good one for you. See if you can work out. 2 boys, 2 girls. How many pairs of underpants did my boys manage to use in a week? Yeah, and this was the message. Did you know your sons have only used X amount of pants in a week? three pairs of pants in a week. And so what am I going to do? I've been telling them over and over and over again, you must put on clean pants. You must, it's hygiene. You need to do it. You need to have a little wash in the morning, put on clean pants. Nothing, nothing for me. So what I did was I got a piece of A4 paper and I drew that pair of pants on the bedroom door that they share. And they're now using a pair of pants every day. This is how it works. Here's another one for you. This is a picture of a horse baring its teeth. It's on my bathroom wall. You might enjoy this. And basically, the point of this horse is next to the mirror, is to do what? And if you were here with me, I can almost hear you shouting at me. Yes, I'll use my telepathy again. Absolutely. It's to get them to brush their teeth. And it's quite an effective way of doing it. They come in and go, oh, horse, teeth, thing. And actually, it's getting quite mucky, really. I ought to look for a nice new one. Maybe I should clean it and frame it. But you can see it's quite toothpaste splattered. This is evidence. This is evidence. Getting children to wear cycle helmets. Show them what a cycle helmet looks like, and have pictures of them wearing their cycle helmets. So this is 3 of my children. It's a few years ago now. These 3 are all teenagers now. But getting them to wear their cycle helmet, showing them where they need to sit, showing them what the straps look like for their safety, all those things really important. So that's what we do. So making it work in your setting. I'm a big fan of emojis. People know that. When I delivered my TEDx, I did a lot of talk about emojis in my TEDx. And there are people that say that emojis are dumbing down language. I think they're really efficient ways of enhancing language. It's interesting, though. I've got such a name for emojis that people are always buying me things with emojis on them. Pencil cases, that's my biscuit tin, etc, etc, etc. Actually, that's my Raspberry Pi computer tin now. But emojis. You built a tower out of mud, you say to the child. You built a tower out of mud. This child doesn't know if you're happy, sad, impressed, pleased. You like towers? Do you not like towers? You're not giving me all the information I need here. How are we going to know about that? We put in an emoji. You built a tower out of mud. I'm laughing heavily because that's never been done for me before. You built a tower out of mud. We got the zippy one. I won't tell anyone. I'm so tired of these towers you make out of mud. Oh, not another tower out of mud. Yeah? Oh, tower out of mud, it makes me feel sick. Can you see this? It's brilliant, and children will learn this stuff. You've got to start with quite simple ones. And then you can work up to the more complex ones as you go along. But these, these are just kind of the next stage. Another thing I want to share with you is the incredible 5-point scale. Incredible 5-point scale, Mitzi Curtis. And it's about grading your feelings. And again, we go back to that previous one, and it's very much about happy, sad, angry, shocked. There's not too much there. Well, usually we don't have such simple emotions. So here, this could be about noise for this child. So no noise might be okay. A little bit of noise, a little bit of chatter might bother him a bit. A little bit of loud chatter might bother him a lot. And then if that heater's on in that classroom, then that might bother him loads. And then if somebody shouts near him, number 5, boom, we're off. And again, we have to think about this because actually emotions are very, very complex. By the way, if that's too much for you, try 3. Try 3, 1, 3 and 5. And then build up, build up, build up. I bet it's a lot more complicated. I bet you can make it really complicated if you wanted to. We don't want to. My 5-point scale, this person has put number 1 is sleepy, number 2 is quiet, 3 is just right, 4 is frustrated. That's a good bit of writing. You'd be pleased to get that off one of your children. And then finally, mad. Okay, and they put pictures to show how they feel along all those different images. And also the colours are quite important as well. We start on a blue and then we get to quite a fiery orange. So really kind of very clear, easy stuff for children to be able to express themselves in that way. How about you? 5 things that bug you. Could you grade them? I'd love you to try that now. Just look at it. Look at it now. I know you can't feed back to me. You're welcome to email it me. I'm not your therapist, but I'll read it. 5 things. Grade them. So have a look at it now and just think about it, because what I want you to be doing is thinking how I could use that in the classroom. And if you can adapt it to your own feelings, that'd be even better. So I'll leave you with that for a moment and we'll come back. Okay, so welcome back. So number 1, I wonder what made you feel great. Yeah, I know what makes me feel great. Listening to some music, or that's the big one for me. Out of control. What puts me out of control? Do you know the thing I don't like? Interferers. People who interfere. I don't really like that. But hey, I can work on it. I can work on my issues. 5 too many. Like I said, try 3. Try 2. Try 1. Happy. What makes you happy? What makes you sad? Then what makes you in the middle? And then keep building it up. I wouldn't go much past 5. I use 5 with teenagers, and we've done things about appropriate touching and things like that. And 5 seems to work quite well. So, but yeah, you can get 3 to 5 in probably a reception class. We also got these facial expressions here. These are some that I'd love you to be able to use. Surprised, upset, sad. We've got a clear one there. Your screen is here. My screen is in front of me. Worried, scared. These are really quite good ones. We're getting into some quite complicated ones here. Just for fun, just to tie in with some of our dyslexia strategies and getting children reading. Not only have I put the words on there, but not only have I put the images on there, but I've put the words on there as well, because I want you making connections. You don't have to do that. That's just something I do, but I think you'll find that they're really good. They're really good practice to put those words on. It's a good extra resource and a little bit of passive learning going on there. So, I've seemed to have got a little bit ahead of myself there, because I've said to you, why have I left the words on these cards? Well, you know why I've left the words on these cards. I just explained to you that I'm trying to give you access to words. There's a few things that, that can be a little bit bothersome in a learning environment. When somebody asks for good listening or good looking, what is good listening? What is good looking? I'm hearing impaired. I have auditory processing disorder. Good listening to me. Well, let's talk about good listening. What does good listening mean to me? I'll tell you what good listening means to me. Good listening means please be in the same room as me. Good listening means don't talk when other people are talking. Good listening means try to make eye contact. So that's what it means to me. What does it mean to teacher? Listen to everything I say, maybe. What are we doing to enable those children to listen well? Good listening. So, good looking. Good looking. What is good looking? Well, me, obviously. Our producer over there is also going me. Yeah, so me and Isaac, we're good looking. You get it from me. But yeah, good looking. What is good looking? Children with autism who don't like to make eye contact. Children who are embarrassed easy. Again, we want to know what good looking is. And these are really implicit phrases that aren't helpful. Hands up to speak, I'm okay with that one. I am okay with that one. But actually, hands up to speak, no, even that. I'm just thinking again, I'm going, hands up to speak. But if I'm walking around the classroom and you come up to me, you don't have to put your hand up to speak, do you? You know, it's when your kids come home, isn't it? And they put their hand up to answer your questions in the home. Pavlov's dogs. Right. I've got these as well. I would say I always wear something like this. I generally do. And these are for children to come up to me and they can tell me how they feel. I've often used them for children as well. On a lanyard, these lanyards are quite safe. They just pull. If you pull them, they just come apart. So they're quite good, really. But giving children the opportunity to come and communicate with me, I welcome that. What about when you go out on a trip? What are the 3 things that children worry about most when they go out on a trip? I will tell you. Number 1, toilet. When your bladder is the size of your fist, the toilet is the most important place. Yeah. So toilet. We've also got where we eat, whether we're eating, do we need to bring sandwiches, all those sorts of things. They need to know that. Transport, how we get in there, when we get in there, who's taking us. Those are the 3 things. When I run a workshop for adults, I may hire a room somewhere, maybe get Premier Meetings, and I've got a Premier Meetings room, and we got Costa coffee machine and biscuits on the table, and I email people who are coming. I don't do these kinds of courses quite so much anymore. I get brought in to deliver them for other people now, but you've got all that stuff. You've got it all booked, and somebody emails you, I'd like to book on a course, and you say okay, and you email them back, and you've got a letter that goes with it saying, here's a map of where you're going, click on this, put these coordinates into your sat nav, whatever it is, and that'll take you there. The food is provided, yeah, all refreshments are provided, or it's not provided. You tell them either way. And finally, that all the resources are provided. Now, you don't need to tell them there's going to be a toilet, because they're kind of relying on you to have enough about you to provide toilet facilities. But when they arrive, I usually would say, hello, welcome to the course. There's tea, coffee, biscuits over here. Did you get parked all right, by the way? And the ladies or the gentlemen's toilets or whatever are down that way. And that's how I do it. So because adults worry about the same thing that children worry about. So if we remember that children worry about these things, then we can put something in place for them. And that's what I would strongly recommend. So sorry, I've just got a little bit ahead of myself again. So I would have pictures to tell them. These are stock photos. I would have pictures of the real place. Yeah. When it comes to the toilet, by the way, I might have a picture of where the bathroom is rather than a picture of the actual basin. But it depends on the needs of your children, and it depends how particular they are. Also, when you're going on a trip, you can put in information like if it's warm, you might be eating outside. Tell them where. If it's cold, or rainy, you might be eating inside. And also that bottom right-hand picture, what we'd expect you to wear. So your reception class might be there in school uniform, and some of your younger children, we might say wear your wellies, as they've all got on that picture. Okay. Now I'm ready to go. We've got this here. This is the stages of things. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it is an interesting one, because I think the reason most children refuse to do things is because they are frightened. And the reason they are frightened is because they don't know how. And if they don't know how, they're not going to be able to do it. So quite often we need to model for children or show them how to how to take in the stages of doing something. So I'm not doing it. I can't do it. Might have a little think about it. I want to do it. I can and I will. Yippee, I did it. There's lots of stuff like that out and about. I particularly enjoy these because there are so many things we ask children that we think are just so easy, and we're quite flippant about it almost, not intentionally. And actually, you know, by going through those stages and recognizing that there is a process, we are helping those children to achieve. Okay. Stop picking your nose. Okay. Picking your nose. Let's talk about nose picking. So, picking your nose. First of all, I'm not a fan of implicit language. If you tell a child to stop picking their nose and they've got a blocked nose, you're not telling them what you need them to do. So stop picking your nose isn't helpful. In another way that it's not helpful is if I tell a child to stop picking their nose, they're probably picking it because it's uncomfortable, right? So they might not be. It might just be a leisure activity for some, but they're probably picking it because they're uncomfortable. So when you say stop picking your nose, they might go, what do I do now? And they're back to that area of discomfort. So I would tell them what to do. And I have a system for this, which I call visual stories, which are very useful. And it's falls into 4 categories. And you can teach these 4 simple procedures. So sometimes other people, I will, this is. So on that nose picking one here, what we might say is, we talk about, instead of saying sometimes I pick my nose, we don't say that. That's the act, I want the cause. Sometimes my nose is itchy, sometimes my nose is blocked, sometimes there's something in my nose, and then we come into the other people. Other people will feel sick if I pick my nose, other people don't like it if I pick my nose, other people may be cross with me if I pick my nose, because they don't always have that natural empathy at that age. So we're teaching empathy as well, how the other person thinks, and then here, what will I do? I will go private, go to the bathroom and pick my nose. I will ask teacher for a tissue so that I can pick my nose, and strategies to do. We never say I will not, because that becomes implicit again. And we never say I will try, because that gives them the opportunity not to do it. Okay. If we say I will try, we're making an assumption that this task is too difficult for them. Anyone who's had a child, you say, did you tidy your bedroom? They say, I tried, mummy. They're lying. Okay, either that or we really did try it and it's too big a job for them. And then finally, why it's a good idea to do things. This is the right thing to do. This is the clean thing to do. This is what Batman does. You've really got to get it to meet their needs and their motivation. In fact, with this is the clean thing to do, a lot of kids don't like doing the clean thing. And we do get people on the day courses say, this is the hygienic thing to do. Have you ever met a child that cares about hygiene? Some, maybe. And so these are our boards, and we can do this with text, and that's what we might do with older children. But I'm just showing you this one because sometimes bogies, sometimes I'm bored, sometimes it's uncomfortable. Other people sick, gross, nervous, wipe it on them, dirty, yucky. I will blow nose in tissue. I will fiddle with something. It's what Batman does. Huh. This is sick thing to do. Sick being the good version of sick. So that's how we do it with older ones. But with younger ones, you can do this. Sometimes other people, I will. This is really, really good one. And you can do this for pretty much any kind of situation that you find yourself in. Here's a little picture here that I'd like to show you. Sorry, I clicked on a bit far then. Should be back in a moment. Yeah, lovely. This is my daughter Flo, and she likes pigs. And the best way to get her attention is to talk about pigs, looking at special interests and behaviour. And now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to tell you when she started at primary school, she went into reception, and I know the reception class teacher, and I went and spoke to her and I said, look, I'm going to tell you something about Flo. If you want to be Flo's friend, she likes pigs. And she said, thanks for that, good bit of intel. And about a week or so later, well, very early on, Flo's coming back saying, we're learning about the 3 little pigs. but also about a week or so later, the teacher's going, she's been amazing, loves it, loves her pigs. So pigs is a good thing for her, and using a special interest is a good thing. Here's a book, a magazine, Practical Pigs, Keeping and Rearing. We bring this up in our dyslexia workshop. I'm going to talk about it for different reasons here. So when we do it in the dyslexia workshop, I'm talking about getting kids reading and comfortable with text. In this workshop, what I'm saying to you is she's looking at the pictures because they make her happy. You've got an engaged learner. So, and we're going to be finding out about an ideal starter pig. I think it's the Berkshire. So there's a few credits there. The incredible 5-point scale, the Blob Tree, and Stepping Stones, all in there. So you can check those out. I have got a directed task for you, and it's a nice easy one. What visuals can you put in your early years foundation stage setting to help your young people manage their behaviour? Thank you very, very much for listening, and I will see you on another one.